Hello, everybody. We're here today with some very special guests for the first time on the podcast, Sebastian and Albertine of the band Ostia. How are you guys?
Hello. Hey.
Hi. Hello. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Where are you actually right now?
We're in right now. We're in Dresden for a couple of weeks. We're in a very old building in the Baroque part of town. It's the flat is owned by the theater, so we're working here composing for the theater in Dresden.
Oh, cool! Like for a play or like a
It's a Shakespeare play. It's called Winter's Tale, and it's going to be premiered.
Yeah, classic.
Premiered end of this month. So there's tons of work right now for us, and we got this beautiful apartment.
Yeah.
And every night at 10, there's a very Saxonish dialect guy coming in front of the house and bringing 5 tourists with him and
really
because
you're in a tour.
This beautiful language. Beautiful language describing this house.
Yeah, nice. I love it. I've never thought about having like an apartment that's on a part of a walking tour. So there's like a tour guide out the front of your window every day.
Exactly. It's like it gives you a good rhythm.
What does he say about the? Like
he's talking about the golden plates in the doors.
Oh yeah, okay. And, which are not real gold anymore, I assume. They must have removed that.
I don't know. All I think about is that I have to brush my teeth when he's doing that, because then it's usually 10:30.
That is an alarm clock.
Yeah, this man is really part of our life now.
That's so funny.
And someone told me he's wearing a historic costume and
really?
like a real, like a analog light, you know, like a lantern.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we haven't seen him yet because, like, from our window we can't see him. So
he's like a mysterious figure.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Just this voice and this beautiful Dresden dialect.
We both really enjoy being in Dresden. We're so surprised. We're both from Berlin.
Yeah.
And it's so true that it's actually really important as a Berliner to go out to other cities in Germany and experience them, to find out that they're actually very livable, very nice. Super cool.
What's your favorite city outside of Germany where you could maybe live if it wasn't Berlin? Sorry.
There's very different answers here.
Mm-hmm. This wasn't on my official questions for your list, by the way.
Yeah, no,
just like,
but it's a good question.
Curious.
It's a good question. I have to say that Berlin is really a very, very good place to live in because it has this combination of, it's a good climate, it's still relatively cheap, there's a big creative network. So, and it's also at the moment politically kind of safe.
CDU safe.
CDU
Being ironic here.
CDU safe, but it's not Istanbul. It's not Ho Chi Minh City and it's not Istanbul. So, and yeah, usually probably I would have said something like London or New York or stuff like this, but then these cities are so expensive that it's impossible to live there.
But Albertine is a big city person, and I would rather go for a mid-sized town, like Dresden-sized, maybe Bordeaux or something. Be in Dresden.
Are you guys actually were both born in Berlin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow, you're real Berliners. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that. Okay, you're like OGs.
That's why
we're chatting to the OGs here.
Think of the possibility.
yeah. It's like what? Okay, so I read the press text for your new album, and actually I really love this line that you wrote because of its comedic poeticness. When you wrote, "Their journey of longing through the Italian entertainment periphery." I just thought that was really great. So I thought maybe like for people who don't know who Ostia is, maybe could you tell us a little bit about how Ostia came to be? Because previously you were going under the name Itaca, and your current album Europop was recorded as your former band, but you had some problems with releasing it, and then there was COVID, and is that right? And then why did you change your name, and can you tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Well, we had a pretty long time where we had this project where we sang in Italian. We started this in Berlin. I think the idea came us when Albertine was studying in Rome, and the idea was always to like perform this in Italy. It was done for Italians for Italy. So sometimes we got mixed up later with this culture in Germany to have this aperitivo party fun vibe where you even would get an Italian name and sing Italian or something, which is quite popular in pop now, I think. But it wasn't really something like this. It was very poppy, but yeah, we went there and we toured there. And of course we're in Berlin, so we played also in Berlin shows at home. And yeah, it felt a bit weird to sing Italian in Berlin, but people liked it, so okay. But the best thing, or the thing we did this for, was to sing in Italy in Italian for the people.
Did you write the songs in Italian, or were they covers that you were singing?
No, we never made a cover. It was all our music. Like that was the inner competition that I had. Like back then, Albertine learned Italian as a student, and of course I couldn't speak Italian, but I would visit her a lot. Back then, my band split up, and I was like, I do new music, but I want to make more poppy music, and I don't want to. I felt hard to me to write English lyrics, what everyone would do, and German lyrics back then I wasn't ready. And so I was like, let's try to do this in Italian. And I had a friend who was a translator, but also I used a lot of Google Translate. And yeah, when I had 3 songs and played a little show in Berlin or in Rome, then it took really off. Like people were really interested in it. It was like a funny thing. And then I really got into it, and we wrote a lot of Italian lyrics.
The more we toured through the country and the more Duolingo you did, the more actually Sebastian
shout
could
out
also
Duolingo.
Like, actually shout out. Yeah, that was really like a Duolingo project in a way.
We shouldn't say this because this other company, they really helped us.
Which company?
The competitor of Duolingo. They did stuff with us, but we actually used Duolingo.
Bubble.
Yeah.
Bubble.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Shout out to Bubble. You're great guys. Anyways, it's like there was a very sweet point in our shared creative life where your vocabulary of Italian was equivalent to the songs that you wrote. It was like you could speak only the sentences.
I could speak
that
the
you
songs.
sang,
Yeah.
right?
Wow,
But
that's
then the
good.
more songs there were, he could actually express his heart very well. Like,
Yes.
it's like cocktail situations. You could always speak about longing and wishes and and fantasies.
Unfulfilled fantasies.
Unfulfilled fantasies.
I only could do the deep talk.
He could only do the poetic talk for a while. And it was really cool. And then it was really easy. Maybe also because it was this concept of tourcation, where you don't do this to earn money. You don't even have to get all costs in. Maybe you pay a little for it, but then you just go for a long weekend and you stay 2 more nights and you meet friends and you get to know a lot of people. And we did this for a couple of years where we would travel so much to Italy, and that at some point it felt like our second home almost,
And when did you start the band actually? When did it form as Itaca, like officially?
2017 maybe, something like that? Or 16?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first show it was in Zukunft on New Year's 2013.
Wow.
That's what I remember. But the Zukunft guy, he always claims it didn't happen, but it happened.
You were like out back somewhere, like not on the official stage.
It was officially in the bar.
Yeah.
It was in the bar room.
Yeah.
And it was like at 3:00 in the morning or something.
Okay.
And the first tour in Italy was, I think, in 2015 or 14 or something. And we did this pretty extensively, very continuously until the pandemic.
And you made 3 albums. You get us to where? How did this?
We had a cassette pretty early on.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had an album, Mi Manchi, which we released in 2017 in April. We had a tour in Italy. We played in Fanfulla in Rome and in Pisa in a nice place. And we had the release show in Cantina in Berlin. So that was pretty spectacular time. And we continued to do...
I actually think that I was there. I think I went to the
At the release
Cantina
show?
show.
Probably.
Yeah. I was there. Yeah, it was cool.
Beautiful night.
Yeah.
And every autumn we would tour in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last years before the pandemic, these tours were also always a bit more special every time. Like, we started to have like a kind of an audience that would always like show up wherever we would come.
Yeah.
There was one tour where we had a complete film crew with us who did this documentary.
Is this the San Remo thing?
Right.
Yeah.
That turned out to be
okay,
this mockumentary. And then I think also the year before the pandemic, there was this X Factor.
Oh,
happening.
yes. This is my next question I wanted to ask you about. That you turned down an invitation to Italian X Factor back in 2019. And I was like, I have to ask about this.
It's actually not true. It's in the press text.
It's in the press text, but it makes sense.
Because we turned it down 2018 and 2017.
Oh, it's like the year is wrong. It's not that it didn't happen.
But in 2019, we actually accepted.
Yeah,
okay.
And we went there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a dystopian experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think in the organization of X Factor, there were some people working who knew our band, because we were always like in the periphery. Like, we were a small band. We're not even on a playlist or anything. But it seemed like people knew this band in Italy. Like,
I think, it's so easy to describe the concept to someone else. It's like the two Germans who sing in Italian, right? And that's already the story. And everyone's like, I have heard of this band somehow, And then we had a couple of songs that were actually like kind of like underground famous or whatever. So they were like on private playlists and stuff. So we had like quite a thing going, even though there was like no commercial success yet, but people knew of us. And I think X Factor had this idea that they could actually use the story as well, like actually showcase these two Germans who sing in Italian.
Yeah.
But then
I was like all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like a little bit. I'm so anti. Like, in a way, I'm much less pop than Sebastian is. Like, your will to pop is really high.
Yeah, but the will of X Factor to pop was really low. Like, this is like.
I mean, anyway, what I wanted to say is, like, I was like super suspicious, like, of the whole thing.
We were in a sports stadium in Torino with like, I think, about 2,000 people or something, and there was these judges, including Asia Argento, just before.
So wait, does this mean that you've already, like, how does it go? Don't you have to like audition and then it's just privately to the judges and then you get through that and then you get to the final, you're already on stage being filmed or what happened?
I think we had a lot of privileges because we were there.
We went
because they wanted us. I mean, there was one thing before that where we would have gone, but it was very. I think we had a lot of privileges. I think we also. I mean, it's way too much to explain, but also then the production day, we had tons of privileges to the other people, and I think it was because they wanted us there. Like we
Can
never.
you explain which privileges? Because I wouldn't understand.
Also, this is a really good behind the scenes of X Factor, because I always thought that everybody just like auditions. I didn't know that like you can get scouted. No, but I mean, like, this is a bit of a scouting. Like you're like, would you like guys want to be part of this?
Process.
Yeah.
In the sports stadium, you get locked up in the basement of the sports stadium. They tell you on the day before, they tell you to bring a lot of food because they won't have any for you. And you get in there and it basically they say this is going to take like 14 hours. And you are in this room with all the other participants. And this is still at a stage where there's not just 10 people or something. It's like 30 people or something. And they're all in this small room. Like, this is actually the place where the soccer team...
In a locker room.
Okay.
It's kind of a locker. It's very... There's nothing there. Most of these people, they have their parents with them because they're kids. So you are in this room with his parents and these little kids who are like really...
Italian parents with like Tupperware with food in it.
Of course, they have tons of Tupperware with them.
And everyone's super excited and shouting really loudly. And we're like the two Germans, like 15 years older than everyone else, with no Tupperware. And going like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And there's no coffee machine. We're in Italy. There's no coffee machine.
Like, this is not human. For Italians, this is like subhuman treatment.
And I think
coffee, 14 hours, no daylight. You're in a concrete room and there's markings on the floor that explain to you where you can go and where you can't go, because they want to make sure you don't see any of the footage they're already shooting, or they don't want you to film anything that's on set. And then there comes a girl with a clipboard, and she's like, "We're doing Maybelline advertisement shot now. Like, all the girls come with me now." And I'm like, hey, wait, like, do I have to do this? Like, no one told me I have to do a Maybelline advertisement. And then, I mean, they didn't force me to, but it felt like a Black Mirror episode, you know?
Yeah, totally.
That's what
Crazy.
I wanted to say. There's one Black Mirror episode where there's this thing where people would entertain other people on a show, and they would get in there for a couple of minutes, and it was, the feeling to be on stage there was 110% the optics of this episode.
Of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
because you feel the people are animated. They are real people in this room, like, but they when you're on stage and you see this audience, they're lit, and they look like a computer game FIFA soccer stadium, like they're not real.
Wow.
And the judges say they like it or they don't like it. They will love you or they will hate you. It's like.
And then I wasn't really well prepared, and you were singing. Yeah. And I played the piano, and like in the first bars already, I'm like doing a full-on mistake, and I'm like, okay, stop, we need to start again.
But then I think we did it again, it was fine. Yeah. And then the judges, they all give us thumbs up, they loved it. The one judge was, do you want to say what you did then?
Shall I?
What did you do? Like an extra.
I was like, back then my Italian was not at its
for the
peak,
record, yeah.
You know. So
I was really there yet, language-wise.
I was just doing this Erich Honecker wave to this audience, because it was a huge audience, and I felt like, well, how could I connect? I was just waving and was smiling.
And also we had this thing going, like, Seb, before we entered the stage, Seb was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do any of the talking. If the judges talk to me, I'm gonna say non capito or something. And so that's my way out of the situation, basically, and I'm gonna try to make like a joke out of it. And so I had to have this like conversation with them. But I was like emotionally so perplexed of the whole situation. And I also couldn't take it like fully serious, you know. I was more like, what the freaking hell? Why is anyone working here on this set? Why are we here? What is this? This is like a nightmare. Like, come on, everyone. You know? I was more like this. And so the first judge would be like, yeah, I liked it, and give the thumbs up. And the second one would be like, you know, I don't understand you guys, but I want to support it. I'm giving a thumbs up too. And then the third And when the third person was about to give their like thumbs up, I think it was Asia Argento, I felt like I had to like give like some form of response, because you know that's no one.
We were standing there like
We were like you know, like no emotions. I realized that we have to feed the performance situation here somehow. So when Asia Argento said and that's why I give you a thumbs up, I was like, nice. And then there was just like this full irritation in the room. And when the fourth person, which I think was Fides, is like a pop star in Italy, when he said, do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? And like he really gave me some pressure as a hint, as to like at least perform that you're really happy. And he gave his thumbs up. And I don't know, it was like my body reacted to this. So I was in the stadium and I just pulled my hand up. And I wasn't sure, like, am I going to do like this like disco pointer or a peace sign? And I did a Hitler salute.
You didn't.
I did a Hitler salute.
This is the best story ever.
I didn't realize this, of course, because I
didn't see it.
I was just smiling at everybody and waving.
Oh my God.
I did the Hitler salute.
Did they have this on tape?
And someone.
So then everything happened really quickly, right? Like I did this thing. I pulled my arm back. I was like super confused. I looked at Seb. He looked at me. He didn't know what happened yet. Then we were guided by another person with a clipboard outside this like side of stage. Off stage. Behind the stage, there were like 3 camera teams like filming us in our, like, you know, they wanted to see us cry.
or like be super happy.
Or be super, like cry of joy, and like something like that. And I was just like, Scheiße, ich habe einen Hitlergruß gemacht. I was like, I did the Hitler salute.
What? What did you do? What?
And he was like, what did you do? It was like all on camera.
And then we turned around and saw they're filming our reaction.
Because of course we were like busy with ourselves, like filming us all the time.
And then we're like, maybe we do this again. And then we go back free, and we take the very like, oh great.
So we did it again,
amazing.
and then and then we went home like kind of in a daze and waited for them to like give us a call.
No, but we went home, and the next days I was very confused because Albertine reacted very harshly to everything there. Like, this is kind of a negative vibe there. And I was thinking, okay, we're through to the next level. So the next level is going to be, we have to be in a WG in Milan with the other contestants.
And
so
do a dance contest or something.
Like, live with them there, and they are constantly trying to manipulate you also that night. Yeah, they're having hidden cameras, and they want to make stupid things happen. Like, I always told them, hey guys, we can do everything. We just do it. Just tell us what to do. I mean, you don't have to manipulate me to have a follow with Albertine. We could have one right now. I mean, we need one. But so I was like, can we really do this? Is it worth it? Maybe to be at this stage in this thing in Turin, maybe that was enough for us to gain a bit of popularity or something, Maybe we could get out of this now. So I was really 50-50 what to do. And also, before we went into the sports stadium, on the parking lot, they gave us a 100-page contract on the parking lot. Like, they didn't give us this with an email a day before or even the day before. They waited till the morning we showed up to give us this thing on the parking lot. It was like
on the spot,
the weirdest
so you
movie.
You can't even read it. Yeah,
it was the weirdest movie, and there was all these kids there who showed up, and who just didn't give it a second thought, and I was like, what are we signing in? I was actually calling people in Germany who might know somebody at Sony or who might give me a lawyer, because I was like, maybe we have to call a lawyer before we go into this WG and. This is weird. I don't want to lose the right to make my own project, And in the middle of these thoughts, I had a very funny phone call to the ex-Sony boss of Germany, who is married to an Italian and who helped me find a lawyer. Because I contacted this lawyer, and before anything materialized, we got a call from X Factor that we're out.
Oh, really?
And I don't really know what motivated them. There could be 1,000 reasons, Maybe
it's not the Hitler salute.
No, I don't think so.
There's like 1,000 reasons.
No.
There's so many reasons.
I think the Hitler salute really made them think twice.
Yeah, that like maybe put a spotlight on you guys.
No.
I actually really don't know.
No, there were other things. Like there was a lot of games we were supposed to play and do this little advertisement for these products, and we didn't do these. We were like, no.
Wild,
So I mean, it kind of solved the problem for me to make a decision.
Yeah.
I was really happy that we didn't have to go to the boot camp. Like me at a pop boot camp with like cameras in my face. It's a toxic environment.
This is a whole episode in itself. It's just like the untold story of these game shows and your experience,
I mean, you feel like, hey, we all love pop music, and of course a lot of it is a bit, constructed and stuff, but you feel like really willing to help make a good show. But then you realize this is all the super big McDonald's franchise, and they have one burger for everybody. People who thought about this show, about the content of this, they are already gone. Like, they wrote the show, pre-produced it, and now there's some other people executing it. Nobody's thinking about what's happening there. They know exactly what they want to happen, and it's one shoe fit everything. It's really tough. I mean, I have a big respect for anybody who could build something personal in there, but I suppose you need a certain character that fits into the mold they already made. These are the moments when these things really work well. It was also a metaphor to a bigger music industry that we had like a little like moment to look into,
A brutal awakening.
I mean, I don't think we could be shocked because we were expecting the worst, but it's like kind of sad when you finally understand how this works, or you get a better understanding, let's say it like this, and then it's a bit more banal is the German word. I don't know what's the English word.
Banal as well. It's the same. And then tell me a bit more about, so when you recorded like what is now this album, Europop, you said that you had some trouble releasing it, right? And then also that the pandemic also hit, and then it was just like multiple factors basically that came into play. Yeah,
it's right. I was chasing a label in Rome, and I felt like I was in a quite okay situation. Like we had a kind of an great understanding, and for me this would be a good way to continue the project. Because at this point, the project was in a situation where you would I would have loved to give it a bit more gravitas in Italy. And we were having a small label in Italy, but this label I was chasing, they're very well connected. And even though it could have been a very small release on this label, it would have put us in a certain frame that I thought we could work with to make this more interesting.
Well, can I say, just to clarify, it's like one of the most important indie labels in Italy, and we would have been an established indie act in Italy, like not only a visitor anymore. It would have been also our biggest success as musicians in general, I want to say. And they were super interested in it, and then we were already discussing how to put it out, etc. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, and the pandemic had this double effect. Like they were skipping all of their plans.
Yeah.
And then a half a year later, this label is not so big as you maybe think. It's basically also one or two people who run these things. Like the indie labels are run by not big crews, And he was one of his artists, the first artist he's always releasing and friends. He had a big summer hit at the Sanremo festival, which was also incredible for him, And they were. This is a really cool project, very cool song. From then on, they were touring this for 3 years, and he was with them, And so he was basically also stopping most of his other label focus.
Right.
So if this option kind of went away, there's always these windows of opportunity. And things just came together in a way that didn't work out, It's not like anybody says, it's always like this, And also during the pandemic, Itaca was a live-focused band with an audience and with meeting people, and so I couldn't imagine put out a record into this void. It would have been only internet, and it's for me it was clear that it's going to be sucked into the internet, into nothing. As long as we can't play shows, I don't want this out.
So you protected this album?
I kind of protected it against everybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody around me was saying, you're making yourself unhappy not releasing this. And of course the pandemic didn't go away in a year or two.
A year later, we were still in the same situation, basically.
And that was just the first part. And then there were more to talk about. But it took a long time to be here, to have it done, and finally put it out.
Did you were the songs originally recorded and written in Italian, and then you were transcribing them into English now? And so then did you have to re-record the songs basically?
But one of the songs. There was one song that was always in English. It was supposed to be on the record, and I re-recorded a couple of songs in Italian. I only re-recorded vocals. And wrote new lyrics. I did this when Albertine got hooked up in London with the labels and started to be in London, and I was also in her touring band. So we kind of had this reawakening on this tour in this weird touring environment, but now it was England, not Italy anymore.
It was a beautiful thing, because we were very, very lucky people in a way, because we got to experience two different countries so intensely and so closely through our music.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a very, very wholesome experience to also dive into their language and food and style and culture. And so I feel like We had this like very strong Italy phase, and after the pandemic, this like insane UK phase started. Like before that, I never visited the country even. I had no idea. And then when we had this London label, and we started to tour there and have like a certain recognition or success, however you want to call it, we started to like actually really obsess about it.
Yeah, also I told Albertine, like, this is like, when we built our relations in Italy, it took quite some time, and it was like a lot of work. And now we're doing this in England, and I'm like, I can't do this in a multitude of countries at the same time. Like it feels also like, also in the DIY scene, 3 or 4 years and a pandemic, a crisis like this, people that they're not the same people anymore. Like, I also had to start over a bit anew in Italy, you know. Yeah. Like the people I knew who did all these things, they're like they moved on too.
Yeah.
You know?
Were you actually in the UK doing this tour with Albertine when Brexit happened, or was this after Brexit? Or
it was exactly when the Brexit rules started to apply.
Okay, interesting.
Like the decision for Brexit was long before.
Interesting. What was the energy there? Like, because I wasn't in the UK, but I was here in Germany when Brexit happened. And actually, this is a little bit of my segue. Sebastian, you are actually a political scientist. Is this correct, with a doctorate?
Yes, I used to do this.
I wanted to ask you guys, in terms of that, actually, how much, your experiences with this, like if you were in Brexit, and just generally how much society, politics, and culture influence your music and your creative output.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I think we're also thinking politically as people. When we make music, I wouldn't call us any kind of active. I'm not an activist for sure, but I have a coordinate system that is always used. And when I did Itaca and we went to Italy all the time, I had a very profound feeling of like trans-border exchange or like cultural work. And it felt very satisfying to be with other people from another place. You know, I mean, it's not super exotic. It's just Italy, but still, it's it's very different. And I used to have this with bands I had before Itaca, where we had a lot of touring in Poland. So I toured a lot in Eastern Europe before they joined the EU, which was like a super fascinating time. And we had, back then it felt like every town we came to and every night we drank with people, we were like, this was the first conversation after World War II these people had with Germans. It's like, it was so weird. And it was just like a huge party. And it felt like we were like on a diplomatic mission or something, you know? And of course, going to Italy was not like that, but a bit of it too, you know. You always have this a bit when you go with music. You're not there as a tourist. You don't go to these places where the other Germans are. You really go to places where usually no tourist has ever been. And you meet other people and you exchange. You have these kind of intercultural exchanges. It's super interesting for me and very, very satisfying.
And I feel like there's like, what we could generally say is that there's like a huge longing to connect to our neighbor countries in a way. There's so many countries that are so close to us and that are so different in some ways. And there's a very strong intuition that it would make sense to like hold together and like connect and learn each other's languages and be interested in each other's political systems, especially in times where like right-wing populism is like growing so strongly in many of the neighboring countries, but also in our own country.
We also had, like, with the music, we had the chance, like, sometimes we would look at each other and we were like, what are we experiencing here? Like, one night we'd be with the super autonomous left extremists in the mountains. Well, they would say, don't make photos. No photos allowed. Like, not because they, I mean, not like x-beliebig, don't take photos, but like, don't take photos. There are people here that people shouldn't know that they're here. Like, I felt like this. I didn't know, but I felt like this, you know? And the next day, we're in a Milan apartment where there's a New York Times on the table, you know?
Yeah, you're like at Fashion Week.
It's the same tour. It's the same network. It's like, what is this? Like, you get really humble also, because you sit at the table of people. you know?
Yeah.
You're not just talking about them or reading about them. In England, when we toured there and Brexit started, we got a lot of like the people when you tour with music, the people you meet in England, they're all like embarrassed.
What way?
For Brexit.
For Brexit.
For
They're embarrassed
Brexit,
to the
right.
bone.
Yeah.
They always want to say like, oh, sorry about this mess, and so we're like, yeah, no, whatever, you know, it's not your fault. and so that we got a lot of this, you know.
Yeah, right.
And because we were one of the first bands who went to England in this time, we also were the first to deal with these new problems with the border.
Right. Also the visas and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So after this, we also like were able to help other bands. And we also had contact to like music union in England and learned about them and their fight because the Brits, they suffer most from this, of course. Because
they get culturally isolated.
They're on the island,
right?
you know.
They're on an island. And
they are the much bigger pop nation. But still, it's just, you know, it's just a couple of cities they want to tour in Europe.
They want to export, basically, right? They want to export music.
Yeah.
And it's become very difficult, which is insane because we really need British music.
Yeah. Interesting. I was going to ask you about the Panda Bianca song, actually. Yeah. So one of my questions about that song is this song an ode to your car? Is that your car in the music video? Is it the Panda?
It's
right?
a Fiat Panda.
Fiat Panda, yeah.
No, it's not. We wish it was our car.
You ask if it's wrong that you feel like I feel.
No, it's not our car. It's like
this was your
it's
car.
more like a metaphor. It's, you know, it's a very small car. The idea to go across the Alps with this car is kind of the metaphor for like indie band or small DIY band to make this kind of to try this kind of contact to Italy. Or like, you know, it's actually, I think any musician could probably identify, like to just release an album means kind of taking the Panda over the Alps, you know.
Who shot that music video, actually? Because it's beautiful. It's very cinematic.
Yeah, it's during the pandemic, Max Hilsamer, who is a cameraman, he's also a documentary filmer, and but I was doing music videos in the past, but I always needed a collaborator with camera.
Like you mean music directing?
Exactly,
like
I would direct and
stuff,
produce, and we kind of got a thing going during the pandemic, and I think we did 15 or 16 videos for other people. So I think the Panda one is one of the latest we did, and you could really see that we got into a good groove by now, and Max pictures are incredible. Yeah.
Did he also actually film your "Who Are You" music video?
Right, actually, that's a.
I love this music video. I wanted to because did you guys watch these? Because I was like, this is inspired to me by these TV show in the late 90s that started called Perfect Match. At least it was called Perfect Match in Australia, but I think in the UK it was called like First Date, Blind Date, or First Date, or something like that.
Yeah, this is the actually
this
is the I kind of copied the TV studio of the German version of that show, which was called Herzblatt. So the whole design was kind of like this was actually the first time I met Max, and he did the camera, but this video was getting so old because of the story about this record that by now we were like different people. so we kind of inserted this this second layer where we would watch ourselves.
Yeah, cool. It really works. Yeah.
And there's no special effect involved.
Also hits a specific point in my heart because I really remember watching these like dating shows when I was a kid as well. Like I was super small and I was like, what? And then they're behind a wall, and then who are they going to choose? like it was so exciting to me. Yeah.
Did you rewatch them? Did you rewatch them now?
I did since on YouTube I watched like one, and then I went on to a bit of a vortex of watching like old episodes of Perfect Match from like the host back then and all of that stuff.
Yeah, when I rewatched the German versions, a lot of them, and it was so incredibly scripted. I wasn't aware as a kid, and it's crazy that as a kid you can't see that this is scripted to the comma.
Did you realize that the subtitles of the music videos are like kind of a joke? No,
I didn't, because aren't they? They're in Italian, right?
Yeah, it says like so. there's obviously the music, so you don't hear anyone speaking, but then there's subtitles and they're moving their lips. And the host of the show in the beginning, he says, "This is the first Italian show in German TV, and the audience doesn't understand a word."
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then you see the audience. It's so funny because it's actually like it's a meta joke because it's actually what's happening for most of the viewers.
100%.
And then all the subtitles are kind of like they make sense, but they're like all of them are kind of jokes. And I really love the fact that this is a little bit like a postcard, like a greeting to our Italian followers, basically, because they're the only ones who get the joke.
Nice. And how is it? Is it a real like this aspect? Is it a real mind fuck a little bit when you say like you recorded something when you were different people essentially, or like you conceptualize something as a different person and now you're like having to go back into it? This really looked like it seemed like a puzzle that you had put together in a way. Like when you then shot, I guess you guys watching it back and. Yeah, it must have been. It sounds like an interesting experience.
I see it a little bit like you can see it like a piece of clothing. Mm-hmm. Like your favorite jumper or something. Some of these clothes you can wear for 10 years and just feel comfortable. And then there's other parts of your clothing that you, like, 3 years later, you would be embarrassed to wear them. And, it really depends on the piece.
Good analogy.
And so I think this song aged really well. I feel very comfortable with it today. I still super like it, and it still feels fresh to me. Yeah.
Now I see I was so naive. I see I was so naive. Quando ballavamo insieme nell'oscurità, quando cantavamo a casa mia, sussurravi di un bassotti una macchina bianca, mi cercavi per scappare dalla città.
I love it. It's also one of my favorites from the album.
Yeah, mine too.
What are your favorite songs? Do artists play favorites with your songs? Are you like this one? Yeah, I like it, but I'm a bit over it. But I'm not going to say.
My favorite ones are this one, like "Who Are You" and "Stanotte," the one that we just tonight. That's the Italian word. So tonight. That's the single that we put out. That's like a slow, like very like soulful jam song. It's very sensual. It's much about language, but it's like I find it very interesting because it talks a lot about the mother tongue and seduction. So it's like it's unclear if it's like on the language or on the body level, which I really like.
Yeah, for me it's like actually, of course I like all the songs, but some songs, like when you produce them and record, they kind of turn out surprising to you, like and others that you think that you kind of lose them a bit. But I think it's completely independent from what other people think of the end product. It's like, just for me, my journey with songs is often like upwards or downwards, and this feeling stays. So with the songs that really gain in these last stages of producing and recording, I always hold them close, and I think this Tonight song turned out very nicely. Also, Fabian is singing in the chorus, and rarely in Itaca or Ostia we had any other musicians participating, so I really enjoy this one.
Speaking, I also wanted to ask, is there a particular reason why you chose a techno acid house producer for this album? You said that Jan, or is it Jan Siebert, mixed and mastered the album.
Yeah, it's actually somebody I was like chasing to do this. He was he's like a Köpenick guy, so I'm also loosely connected to these people. But he's musically he did some things I really like, especially Sirius Mo. It's like a hippie electro producer, and I really like the brutality and clarity of the sound. And I wanted him to to look at it. Everybody told me don't do it. He's like.
It's difficult to work with.
But the thing
That's
is,
what they said.
But it was difficult. But I was like, I really love the results, and I also loved. We never met. We never met, even though we're both from Karlshorst, which is like the same village in Berlin. But we had very long phone calls and share the same humor. And we really are the two people who worked on this album the most. We never met, but I don't know. It's like in the beginning he was asking me what do you want me to do actually, because my rough mixes are probably pretty fine, and I was like I don't know, I want to it, and he's like you wanted to sound a bit more like the West. This is an Aussie joke. So
what?
I was like I have to we're gonna do this. You understand?
The West.
I didn't start. This is amazing. Okay.
Albertine is a Westie. Albertine is a Westie.
Wow.
Okay, last question. When are you your calmest?
So I'm calmest when I'm usually in cities. I would go to graveyards and watch birds. And I find that incredibly calming and beautiful. You're never calm.
Yeah, when I'm in Mecklenburg on an open air stage and I have to make an announcement for the next song, I'm like, I freeze.
Never calm.
Then you're frozen. That's the calmest. When you sleep, then you're the calmest.
No, when I watch Formula One, I watch Formula One racing just to calm down, and I get asleep at the second lap, and it's just a semi-sleep. I love it. I wake up when it's finished. It's great.
Wow, that is interesting fact. I calm down watching Formula One racing. Thank you guys so much for doing this interview.
Thank you so much for your time as well.
Moody Monday, every Monday with a moody new topic. Lots of love.